Hey everybody, it's Steve with Sky194 and I appreciate you stopping by and checking out my video. And we are here at Suzuka and I'm working on a setup for the Aston Martin. And we're going to see if we can do it together. And excuse me. And I just wanted to show you my best lap with the stock aggressive setup. So let's get this started and go through the lap. I mean, it's a good setup. I mean, you can run some decent times. I'm sure only my issue with it is just probably for me is just it just seems a little inconsistent. And I mean, that goes with me, but it's just hard to get it to really click off the same laps every time. And it's because the cars want to understeer in certain places and not in others, and and then as you put more laps on it, the understeer gets worse. So it really, doesn't kind of hold a good. For me, it doesn't want to hold a lap time for many laps. It wants to just start falling off pretty quick. So, but it still feels good. It still you know is pretty quick for me for just an aggressive. I started off with 70 liters, but I'm down to 59, so it's still, I mean, it's very early in the in the run. Speed down here's down just a little bit, but it's not bad. I mean, 158. I mean, most of the cars, if you got a really good lap, you're up near 160. So it's only maybe a mile or two. I mean, that's nothing really, no big deal. A mile an hour or two. That was a 201.87, and that is my best lap with that, which I didn't think was too bad considering. A lot of 202s and things like that. So let's go to the garage and look over the setup. Everything looks decent. A little more camber than I like. That's about right back here. Electronics looks fine. Of course, the fuel. Of course, I'll change that with the #1 brake pad. Now, one thing I was kind of concerned with is you look at it, it's got light greening already, and I only did like 7 laps, and it's got light greening on the front. So we might have the same thing with our setup that I do too. So, but I'm just looking. This is just a stock aggressive with nothing done, and it still has light greening on the front tires. So that's a little concerning this early. Mechanical, everything looks pretty decent for the most part. And of course, you can see the diff here. You got it. They have it turned way down, and that's because a lot of times because those S's when you're going back and forth, and those S's here at Suzuka. If the diff is too much, the car just doesn't want to turn. It kind of tightens it up, and you have issues with it changing directions, I should say. And so that's why it's so low, especially with a front engine car. So that makes reason for that which is good. Well, I might not have it that low, but I mean still, shocks they look about normal. Aero, again, you look at the ride height. I mean, it's all the way down. I don't know about that because I mean it's not hitting anything, but it's just you never know if you're going to catch something if you run off a little bit too much. Does have a lot of wing. That's the only thing I don't like about it. It has a lot of wing. That, you know, to me, the Aston Martin really doesn't need that much wing unless you're at a real short track. You know, this is not that short, so it's pretty, you know, pretty quick, and it's kind of a lot of wing for that. So we'll see if we can adjust that and still make the car handle, and that way give it a little bit better acceleration and speed. So that's that. So I just wanted to show you that because show you how with the stock aggressive, which is, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a good setup. So let's get out of this and start over, so we can get, you know, pretty much a fresh slate. I want to change cars too. I'm gonna go to this car. This car. I love that livery. Isn't that cool looking? That's a nice looking car. And the wind is not too bad. A little bit of a headwind there, but it's still only 5 kmh, so it's not too bad. Always check that to make sure it's nothing crazy. And so we'll load the setup. And of course we went over all that. And with this, I think I'll start with the aero first, to get this to see if we can get something going here. Of course, the front aero variation is 1.7. I mean, I would like to see it more over 2 and see how it would react. So let's go up a couple in the front. And of course, you know, it's just trying to change the balance of the car. And so let's go up a couple in the front. Now we're down to 1.2. And let's see how much, we'll see if we can pull some wing out. There we go. We're down to 6. That's better. And we got take a couple out of the right height out of the rear also. And again, that's also, if you can get the car more balanced. I mean, one, I like, you know, using more of the brake. And that's another thing. If you look here, the brakes, I mean, it's only 64. I'd like to have that down, you know, down around 60 or something to get more rear brake action going, so we can, you know, stop going deeper on the brakes. That's the idea anyway. But back to here. To do that though, you really need to have the car balanced, because if you have the rear end jacked way up, and especially if you're trying to take wing out, and you do that, the rear end's going to be, you know, doing that happy dancing thing. It's going to be jumping around because the tire, you know, you're trying to stop so fast and don't have the grip in the rear. So I want to get the car balanced to get the balance right, and then we can go from there. So let's try this, make a few laps, and of course our front aero variation is 2.0. Now I could go down one more, and that would go up to 2.6. So let's try that. Let's just go for the gusto and go down to 2.6 and see if it might be too much, but that's okay. That's we're here to find out.
Green light. Go, go, go.
Center my headphones here. These headphones, you know, they go off of where your head is positioned. So I mean, if you turn your head, the sound just goes all to that ear. So you want to make sure it's centered, otherwise the sounds kind of weird. They're really cool though. I mean, it works probably really good in a shooter. But you know, you hear the echo off the wall, like off your one side, or so it's really nice. I really like them. But you want to always make sure they're centered. Of course, they want to. This wasn't the first run that I did, and I mean, like I said, the more laps you put on it, the more the car wants to understeer. So, you know, as you get later in the run, it really starts to. You got to almost completely change your driving style. So, I mean, it really, you know, you got to turn in earlier because you know the car is going to understeer. Of course, the hard part really with Suzuka is those S's, but also in this back section. Because you have this off-camber double left, and then you have that real super fast, high-speed left. You know, right here, which the track kind of falls away right through here, so if the car wants to just come out from under you. Okay, and go in a little bit deeper. Not a bad time.
Your fastest step so far.
The thing about this, when you mess up one, screw up the next one. This is connecting the dots. Lap. Hopefully we can do good. My rear's a little hot. Wow.
Personal best.
That was a good gain. set up a little bit. Sloppy there. Do one more. See if we can get a better lap. Still 2:01. Try to carry more corner speed through there. Losing my time right through that corner. Dang it. Messed that up. It's so hard about that double left. And if you run wide and get out in the marbles, you're just going to slip. That was no good. 2:38. So, but I like that. I like it where it's at. We just need to get it to get a little help to it. So, let's look at the wear. See, it's got light graining also on the front. A little bit closer as far as the front to back, as far as wear, but we got to work on that. So that'll be something to work on. But I didn't even change the brake pad, so that needs to go to #1 brake pad. And tire wise, we need to cool this down a little bit. Take a little bit out of that. And a little bit out of that, just to get the tires as equal as we can. So as far as this goes right here, I think I'm going to leave it right where it's at for now. We're at 2.6 front aero variation to the positive. So I just like the balance of the car. And, we might, click one click here or something like that. But for right now, I think we have a pretty good improvement. I mean, I picked up a bunch. So that's a pretty good gain. So now we'll move on to the next one. And I would like to move. We've already done the electronics are okay. I don't see anything wrong with that. Matter of fact, I could increase the ABS to 5 just in case we're having any kind of tire lockup. So I'll just go do that. But that's about all I'll do. And of course, we're already here with the fuel and the brakes. So since we're right here, let's work on the other end. Let's start over here with alignment and see if we can get some of the tire issues going on. You know, try to help on those. You know, I see this is okay. We can leave the toe at negative 0.1. I mean, that's not so bad. Camber at negative 3.8. You got 7 degrees here. That's 7 degrees from inner to outer, and 6 degrees here. This is 6 degrees, and that is 6 degrees. So I would like to pull this back a little bit. Let's just pull this back a little bit. Maybe knock this down a teeny bit. And this also, just one little click, just one little adjustment. You're still getting a little wear. See how it's 2828, then 29 at the end. So that's kind of what I'm looking at also. Crease the toe a little bit in the back. Try to see if we can get the rear end to be a little bit more stable. And so that's that. And then the caster. To add a little bit more stability to it, we'll go up to there. We'll go up to that and try that. And that's to try, especially through these real fast left-hander and also that double left-hander. It might help a little bit with stability instead of trying to feel like the back end's going to come out around. So we'll go ahead and do that. So there we got the negative camber. We took a little bit out, just a couple clicks. And I'm trying to find a balance to where we can still keep the performance, but maybe a little more consistent and also a little bit less tire wear as far as the graining and things. The caster for a little bit of stability, and the same thing with the camber, negative camber in the back. So we did all that, adjusted the tire pressure accordingly. Now the mechanical, the only thing I want to do here is raise these springs up one notch. So we'll raise the front springs up one click, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do for now. I don't want to get too crazy because I don't want to get too fast. Same thing with the brakes. I want to look at this too, the brake bias, but I don't want to mess with it now. So all we did is go one on the springs, one click up, and we adjusted the camber, caster on the front and rear and all that. So let's try that and see how it goes. Feels better, but that doesn't mean too much if it doesn't handle good. So we'll just see how it goes. Also, with a little bit more tire on the ground, it also helps with braking. So, I mean, I'm hoping we can improve upon that, especially right here. It feels pretty good through there. I think it felt really an improvement. Let's see what it does down here, though. That's the problem. A lot of times down there, the double left and down here, they're completely different. Oh. Got it too much. course, you know, I try not to go all out until I get at least some heat in the tires, which is always with these 2020 tires. I mean, you know, a little bit more cold nature. Oh, feels a lot better through there. Yeah, it definitely feels better. Lost a little drive. Not bad. I gotta find a good braking spot there. See, it feels more consistent to me this way. You can push it. Tires look good. All right. I messed that up. All right. That's on me. But it's where I want it to be. Tires look good. Like I said, if you mess it up a little bit, if you mess up one part of that, you're messed up for the whole, through all the messes. So let's see what we got. Well, I got no graining yet. Might be too early yet because I only did like 3 laps, but there's no graining yet, so that's a good sign. Okay, so again, um, you got 7 degrees here still, 6 degrees here, 6 degrees here, and 5 degrees here. So I really like that. I think it's good. Um, all this again is in the range of where you might might change something small, but uh, it's getting us into that comfort zone, so to speak. So I will leave this for now. So we're good here. We're good with electronics. We're good with here. So now let's go to mechanical. Um, okay, now mechanical. The anti-roll bar. Let's start from the top. We got the anti-roll bar, the front anti-roll bar, and of course, it keeps the front end from pitching on either one side. Either corner of the car, front corner of the car. And of course, these cars are so aero sensitive. You don't mind it moving a teeny bit, but you don't really want to move it very much because it disturbs the aero balance of the car. So again, but on the flip side of that, which I'm going to try to, the goods and the bads. The bad part, if it's too stiff, then the car's not going to move when it needs to move. So you get on a curb or something like that. Um, and the car needs to move a little bit, and the car's so stiff, you're almost going to lift one tire up or something. You're going to lift, you're going to be on a tripod type of thing. So, you don't want to go too stiff. And also, I think that can also be hard on some of the tires also. It's kind of like, think about it as like a mountain with a flat plateau there on the top. I mean, you want to be on the top of the plateau, but on either side you can go down, whether it's too much or not enough. So that's the way I kind of can look at it. Right now it's at 3. Um, it goes all the way to 8. I would go try either 1 or 2 clicks, which is 4 or 5. Um, let's try 5 because that's the most I will go. I don't want to go more than that. We can always go back to 4. So let's try 5. And then the brakes, let's drop this down to 61. So that should really get the rear brakes in action, getting a little bit more stopping power, and I like that. Okay, we have now the springs, which I liked. I think we'll leave it at these springs and try this out, and leave it there where we adjusted it the last time. And then you have the bump stop rate and bump stop range. And again, the Aston Martin is extremely well balanced. I mean, it's probably a 50, it's almost like a front mid-engine. So it's like a 50-50 balance. So that's why you see a lot of the springs are the same rates compared to other cars, are very, very close. And the same thing with the bump stops. The bump stop rate. It's nothing drastic on one end or the other because the car is so well balanced. So here, I'm basically would not mind. Again, this is where you try stuff. I would actually like to go up 1 on this on the front, just for the reason because when you're on the brakes and things like that, all the weight goes to the front of the car. But I also want to increase the range, which means it gives me a bigger gap. So when we go over the chicane, those big bumps, hopefully it will allow more of a give before it hits these rates, because we don't want it to upset the car. So I want it to work when we're on the brakes or on those high speed left hand turns, but I don't want it to upset the car when we're on the slow chicanes going over the big curve thing. So that's the idea. At least that's the method to my madness. So here we are in the back. I'm going to leave these alone. I'm not going to increase these. These are going to stay the same because obviously I just did these because when you, like I said, the weight transfer. But I am going to take the bump stop range down to 35, cut it down some, just so it doesn't react. Again, we don't want the car to move any direction drastically. Front, rear, anything. We want the car to stay relatively in place. A little bit of movement's okay, but that's it. Okay, and then we're going to look here and the back here, and I'm gonna increase the preload just 1 click. Now this is definitely gonna be close because it's not bad right now. But one thing, I again, just like I did at Imola, I don't want to get on the limiter of the Aston Martin because it really kills the performance. So I want to be able to get good drives and things like that without you hearing the stutter. And I'm going to increase the anti-roll bar in the back 1 click because we did increase the front. So we're going to increase the rear also. Now I did 2 clicks in the front. I'm only going to do 1 click here in the rear. And again, that's to hopefully help the rear rotate. That's what this is. That's where one of the biggest tools to help the back end rotate is, now it's either direction, is the rear anti-roll bar. So we're going to try that. So, of course, we have shocks, which I will not mess with right now. So we changed anti-roll bar, got some more brake bias involved, and changed the rate and range, and just the range here on the rear, and changed 1 click on both of these, on the anti-roll bar and the back, and the preload on the diff. So let's try that. Like I said, I'm just trying to hopefully I'm communicating it so everybody's following along. Oh yeah, you can feel it. You get on the brakes, the back end wants to start rotating a little bit, so that's a good thing. Which I always like, just a little bit of rotation when you do that. That's not too bad. My fault there. do a better lap this next time. A decent lap. Not picking up anything, but we're right around our delta. Whoa! I messed that up. I don't think it's rotating enough. Yeah, I mean, most likely we might have to make another adjustment. I did it again. Did it again. Same thing I did the last time. All right, well, I want to try that because I think it's not rotating enough. We changed other things. Let's see what. Yeah, it's still fine as far as the wear, but we need to put more laps on it. So, so far, I think everything looks pretty good. You know, it's in the ballpark, but I'm going to mess with these shocks a little bit, but I don't really want to do it until I have a little bit better balance. I'm going to take one more click out of the wing. So now we're up to 3.3. So I'm going to leave it at that. So that's all we did is take one click out of the wing. So, and I can adjust the brakes on the fly, so that's one thing I like. I'll leave it there, but we might have to go back up a little bit, just one point, because we're taking some of the wing out. But other than that, let's try that, because I think it needs it. So again, all we did is take one click out of the wing. Now we've drastically changed the setup so far. I mean, I've basically almost taken half the wing out. Pretty massive changes. through here. I needed to rotate better. Might have to adjust the tires again also, just because, you know, you get different load on the tires as far as getting heat. I like to short shift right through there just because otherwise it wants to spin the tires up and all it does is lose time. So a lot of times I'll short shift into second through there. About a half a car out too wide. Good time, it's decent. thing I like is we're hanging around the delta if I don't make a mistake, and that's what I want. Hanging right around it. Dang it. Ooh, that one. And backhand's a little too nervous. Knock the brakes in the rear back one. Yeah, I messed this up already. One more lap. Tires aren't too bad. A little off. See if we can get a time back here. Nope. Alright. You can see the tires are getting hot on that left side when we're going through there, so I need to check them. See, that's 8 degrees right there. So see, that's the problem. Sometimes the tires, you think, it all depends on when you're checking the tire. I mean, that's 8 degrees right there compared to, and this is 5, and that is 5. So the rear is not too bad. This is 6, but that left front. So let's take a couple more out of that. Let's take some more out of this here too. In fact, I'll just drop it both the same. Okay, and then we're going to take just a little bit more camber out. So we got a little bit more, took a little bit more out, and add a little bit more caster. And try that, and maybe this won't get so hot from one corner to the other. And then brakes wise, we're going to go up to 62. And I'm going to up the springs here in the back. And then leave everything else alone. So we change the brake bias up 1. And that's to deal with, we're not running a lot of wing. So that's to deal with that. And then this basically is to help with the back end sliding around, and also to help with rotating, getting the front, put more pressure on the front. I think I'm going to take this back out of the diff. Let's try it. Let's put it back to 30. Because, I mean, again, you're going through all these S's and stuff. I need this car to rotate freely. So let's just put it back at 30 and try it. Even though we have a ton of wing out of it and everything else. And then, of course, we lowered the negative camber some more on the front. Rear we've left alone. We didn't mess with anything on the rear. It still seems pretty good. But the front, 8 degrees is starting to get pretty high. And that's the temperatures of the tires are getting, going way up fast when you're going through those S's and stuff. So let's just try that and see how that works. And, of course, this will also give us more front end grip as far as brakes. This should, again, you're putting a little bit more tire on the ground, so that will help us a little bit on the braking end of it also. So let's try that. As far as here, we have 3.3. I think this would go up 1, and then go up 1, go up 3 here. So basically, this is the idea. This is the idea behind this. One, I want the wing because I need the back end to stay where it is, and on the S's, and that double left-hander. That's a lot of times the back end will get loose there, and you can't get on the gas early enough. So 4 or 5, and we'll put it back up to 5, and see how that goes. But then what that does is it makes the car not want to rotate, because obviously now our front aero variation goes down. So then I want to raise the rear end of the car up a little bit, and that'll put more weight up on the front to get it to turn. And this will definitely help. It helps all the way around, but it really helps in the slow corners like that hairpin. It'll rotate the car faster through there because the wing isn't doing really nothing there. But when you have the rear end raised up in the back, it really helps on the slower turns. It'll make the car rotate much quicker, and that might help us in those S's, and it might help us also on that hairpin turn. So that's the idea behind it. So let's see if it's steady and stable enough, but we're still at a 3.1 front aero variation. So we knocked it a teeny bit down, but we're just changing the where it rotates and how it rotates. So let's try that. I think we're getting close. might try to put the brakes back into it again, but I'll try it this way first. Because, I mean, and of course, also, it's not just how it reacts in the beginning, but also how it reacts after the tires are worn and things like that. So I'm trying to find, again, a good race setup that can stay as consistent as can be through a stint. You'd be surprised how much time, it's like we were losing time that one, a while ago. I mean, we could lose a lot of time in this hairpin if the car just doesn't rotate quick enough. And that's, a lot of that is diff and the ride height in the rear. Whoa. And also to keep the tires, optimum as far as not graining real quick. I mean, I don't mind if they're graining, but I mean, hopefully they wouldn't be but light graining or something like that by the end of the stint. I haven't messed with the shocks yet, of course. So that's another thing we really need to get to, is make a kind of a general type adjustments. That might help a little bit. hit. Delta jumps. Not holding it, but I like to see that. Definitely changed the way the car is. Right.
Well done, mate. Personal best.
Dang it. All right, we're right around our delta, so that's good. Yeah, just a teeny bit too late. Yep, just a teeny bit too late. One more lap. And the gas too early. Messing my lap up. I'm gonna jump sideways. Messed that up too. It just takes one little slip. little slip. That's it. You lose a bunch. Don't take much. Alright, so let's see what we got. Try to get a little bit of laps in to see if we have what kind of wear we have. I mean, I'm hitting the 201s, staying there mostly. As you can see, we've done 22 laps. You know, the 201, that was my mess up. 201, 201. So, I mean, we're staying there. That's 6 degrees. That's 6. That's 5. So not too bad. I could lower this down maybe one more. That ain't gonna make that big a difference. Let's take a look at the tires. Light graining. So we got light graining back. Really close on the wear though. I mean, you're only talking a couple off between front and rear, so that's on both sides. So I kind of like that. I still not totally. One thing is this diff, which a lot of times can cause you a lot of headaches. I mean, I'd like to know, and also the brake bias. I would like to go down one more and try it, and go back to 40. I mean, it just feels like it's wanting the one tire's wanting to spin more than I want it to. So I'll probably put it back up to 40 and leave it there. Especially, and that makes a big difference a lot of times in the later part. I mean, because otherwise what happens is the one tire gets worn more than the other, and once that one tire gets worn more, then it really starts getting loose. I mean, then what happens is it just, you basically feel like you're on ice. So you want both tires to drive as much as possible. And see, right here, it's not real bad though, because if you look at here, the wear here and the wear here, comparing these two together, it's not that big a difference. We're talking really small. So that's good. That's actually good to see. Or if you had like one pretty big difference between the two, then you would know one's wearing really fast. Yeah, that would be concerning. Of course, shocks. I'll probably go over and do just like a base setup on it and see how it works. But I mean, I know this video's been a while, but also I'm going to go and do the 30-minute stint, and of course I'll come back and go over that with you on this video, because I'm going to add that. But I'm just going to show, I want to test this setup, but I'll just go over it and show you a few laps of it and things like that. I won't make you go through the 30 minutes of it, but these are the things that I do on all these setups, and they just take time to go through this. And of course I'm going to reset this also, because I want to set back to the original temperatures and things like that. And all that. So, and I might, who knows, I might go once or twice and might have to make a teeny adjustment or something. But I'll go over the setup once it's done and I've gone through the 30-minute hot stint, and of course we'll go from there. So I'll say goodbye for now, but just hang on a second and we'll pick it right back up with after I've completed the hot stint. And we're back. And I just got done doing the 30-minute hot stint, and I made a few little adjustments. Just like a lot of times, I probably 3/4 of the time I probably do. I mean, that's the whole reason behind doing that, is to really give you guys the best setup that I can, and something that's been tested, and you know, to where you guys might, have to make a couple of adjustments to how your driving style is, but basically it's there. And again, I made it just a couple of adjustments, and we'll go through that when we go over the setup. But we'll just do a couple laps here and show that, and then go over the setup. And of course, I'll put the link of the setup in the description. So let's start this time inside the car, and let's start this lap here. Turn the HUD on. And that was the first lap, 2:02.59. Really handles well through here all the way to the end. Really, really happy with how, and that's for me a real difficult spot. Could have been a little quicker. I was a little bit too deep in there, just by a little bit. So I actually think I could have gone a little bit faster if I would just nailed that chicane better. But and that was a 2:01.29, and that was my fast lap. And now let's go over the last lap. So we're kind of come up on our last lap here. And we'll go over the timetables. That was a 2:02.46. I was very, very happy with the car through the stint. I had one mess up, but it was just my fault, not the car's. But other than that, the car was very solid, and just didn't feel like I was going to wreck or anything. I mean, just and here, I'm not really great here at Suzuka, so it made it to me even better just because, something that you can definitely do a race and not be worried that every lap you're going to wreck. So that's the end of the 30 minutes. And we'll take a look at that lap. That was a 202.40. So again, I'm very happy with that. Fall off isn't any drastic. It's about normal. And, the aggressive, if you remember, we ran, a 201.87, I think it was my fast lap. But, I was all over the place. I was running, all kinds of numbers all up and down. So, and of course, some of that's me, I understand, but it's just the way the car was. It was just hard to be consistent with it. So let's look at the timetables. And as you can see, there's the fast lap. It was the second lap. And even there, if the next lap, the first sector, I had my quickest sector, and I would have had that there. We would have been a 201 like teen something. Just that right there. So I'm really happy with that. That's, like I said, we gained like 0.6, a solid 0.6. But more than that, look at all the 201s. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, then another one here after that, a little skip there, and then another one. I never could have done that with the aggressive. At least I couldn't have. I just was too all over the place, and that's what I was really wanting to do. It's not just the ultimate lap time; it's how consistent, how consistent can the car be. And a lot of that's driver. I understand that, I know that, but also the car is a contributing factor. It is definitely, it's not all driver; it's a combination of the both. So I just wanted the car to be a little bit more consistent, especially in a race pace type situation. And this is where I messed up here. I blew that chicane and just kind of messed it up. So that was where that one lap there. But other than that, they're all, in the 202s, and you can see it gradually just slower, 202 flat, 202.2, 202.2, and then 4, and so to me, I like to see that. It's just a gradual. It's not falling off a cliff. So let's go to the setup, and I'll show what we changed. I got 25.7 is all the way around. All four tires is 25.7 on the tire pressure. Toe is negative 0.1 on the front with the camber at negative 3.4 and the caster at 14.5. On the rear, the toe is 0.12 with the camber at negative 3. I did take that one click out of the rear, which, just, again, trying to keep the consistency there. Electronics are 2, 5, and 2. Fuel, I had 65 liters with the number 1 brake pad. I had moderate graining on the front, which I call that average. I would have liked to see just light. Would have been a success, a win. But moderate, okay. Because you can see it had light graining with only like 5 laps with the aggressive. So obviously it's just one of those things that it's hard to keep away from. But the car was still doing fine at the end. Mechanical, got 5 on the anti-roll bar. I had the brake bias down to 61 since we did the few changes, and I'll show you. I want to get as much brake action as I can, and you probably could go down to 60 even more if you wanted to. But I just kept it at 61 so the rear would not be happy. You go down to 60 or 59 and the rear end will probably be dancing around. But so you could probably be a little more aggressive, but I just kept it at a conservative 61. The springs all the way, the springs on the front are 155,000 with the bump stop rate of 800 and the bump stop range of 5. And the springs on the rear are 165,000 with a bump stop rate of 700 and a bump stop range of 35. The anti-roll bar is 4 on the rear with the preload on the diff at 40, and I put it back up to 40. As you know, we went down back to 30, but then when I was doing my first trial stint, halfway through, it started doing what I don't like it to do. Basically, it's starting to one tire spinning and things like that. So I went back up just one click, and that way it stayed more consistent all the way through the run, and that's exactly why I do that to test it. The shocks, which I did just a base adjustment, and I think it really helped going over some of the big curbing, the curbs and stuff. I got 20 on the front. It's 20, 18, 26, and 25. And on the rear, it's 18, 17, 24, and 28. And I was very happy with that. I think it handled the bumps and things very, very well. Aero in the arrow, I adjusted. I put the front down to 56. Now remember, we had it at 57. So I wanted a little bit more bite on the front end of the car. So I put it down to 56. And I lowered the rear ride height one down to 74. Because remember, we had it at 75. So I did that, trying to get the balance right and get as much and still have the arrow where I want it. Whereas the arrow variation is 3.3, where you remember we had it at 3.0. Just trying to gain a little bit, a little bit more rotation, especially as later in the stint. I wanted it more, be able to still rotate and not just understeer. The rear wing was 5, left it there, and of course the brake ducts were 3 and 2. And that is the setup. And of course, I will put this link in the description. Please, comments or feedback would be very, very appreciated. And you see what I go through to make sure you guys get a good setup. And I really want you guys to be able to have a better setup that you can enjoy ACC and turn your personal best lap times. I love, when you guys do a personal best and do better and all that. That's great. That's awesome. I love to hear that. And, any kind of feedback or comments are very welcome. It really helps me improve the channel. And if you guys like this kind of format, how I did this, or you don't like it, just let me know, just so I can try to do things that you all like to watch or like to see or don't want to see. So I really would appreciate it, because it really would help me in the direction of content I put down. And again, I don't want to spend the time doing it if y'all don't either don't care about that or just don't want to see it that way. I really would appreciate it. So you guys take care, and please thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And I sure hope you come back and visit really soon. Y'all take care. See ya.